Jonathan here, Mandeville Canyon. Mandeville Canyon is just a beautiful, beautiful area of LA. It's almost its own microclimate. A few weeks ago, we were doing some videos up along Mulholland at a Nike missile base, and we talked about wires up in the mountains and fires that could happen there. Well, imagine if a fire started in that Encino area or started in Mulholland, and the north to south winds blew those embers down into this canyon. It's very difficult to try and stop any kind of a fire that gets down in these canyon areas. You'll notice on either side of me, there's trees above all the way up into the wires. You'll notice the wires up above. The heavy, dark, black wires are cable and phone, which tend to not have any power through them, but at the very top, those are high tension wires. One of those breaks, drops, that's something that can start a fire in this canyon. So it's really fires and winds that tend to be the most dangerous time periods. We're not even in fire season. Fire season technically starts in November when we have the Santana winds. Many people call them Santa Ana winds, or actually called the Santana winds or devil winds. And those devil winds blow through, they pick up embers, they push fire through very, very quickly. This canyon, there's pretty much only one way in and one way out. And again, God forbid a fire starts back up in here. It's very difficult to try and get everybody out of this canyon. And all of these homes are nestled in amongst the trees. In addition to that, we just pulled over the side of the road. You're going to notice a small creek bed to my left. And you're going to notice all this debris on both sides of the road, at the base of the trees, at the base of the wires. You know, Donald Trump said, rake the leaves, rake the leaves. Maybe this is what he was talking about. Maybe not. And I know that that might be political, but this is exactly when people do talk about rake the leaves and maintaining. This is something that we could have. If we have to have prisoners come out here and rake the sides of the roads, and so be it. Maybe that's what we need to do. If homeowners need to combine or work together or fund together the people that they need to come up into these canyons, every little bit is going to make a difference. A fire could start right here and nobody's going to know it. Some idiot can come drive down the road, a car, there could be a cigarette butt that could come out of their car window, and a fire could start right here. These are the kinds of things that we need to do to prevent this, to be more proactive, to try and eliminate these problems. One other thing I want to point out that happens in a fire and after a fire, I had kind of predicted a little bit of a disaster to a homeowner that called me after the Woolsey fire. They lived in a creek bed. They didn't know what to do. I had a sandbag company at the time, and they asked me to come and talk to them about sandbagging. They had a creek that ran next to their home. Beyond that creek was a homeowner that had actually built a wall over the creek and just left a very small opening, very, very narrow opening. After fires, these creek beds are disastrous. When you have a tremendous amount of fire that burns everything in the distance in the background, and you get one rainstorm that hits or one large amount of rain that comes, all of that rain that normally gets picked up by the foliage is all going to come down these creek beds, and it literally just washes houses out. One of the biggest disasters that happened from a very similar situation was up in Montecito. They had a creek bed, all the creek beds were very small, they had a huge fire in the hills, and there was a gigantic cell that came in the middle of the night, and literally it buried people alive. So it's very scary. We're not just talking about fire prevention, we're talking about all kinds of things that can make a difference in disasters. We don't even need a fire to have a heavy rain and create problems. Look in this creek bed. As we look down this creek bed, I'm going to come out into the roadway a little bit, and you're going to look up in the distance in the creek bed. There's all that debris down in there. Well, if you have water or a heavy rain that comes, fire or not, and all that debris gets picked up and starts getting pushed off down into the distance, that's what knocks bridges out. That's what knocks foundations out. We don't have the rocks and the boulders that they had in Montecito, but you get debris, you get all these leaves that get picked up. So again, there's a lot going on right here in this Mandeville Canyon that can be changed, that can be maintained, that can be cleaned up, that can be pruned. The trees can be laced out so that in the event of a big fire, you don't have them landing in the trees. Look at this dead brush that's hanging off of these trees right along the side of the road. Again, car comes down, cigarette, spark, fire, hits that, boom, that's what happens. And now, maybe this is a sign from God, the winds are picking up. Maybe they're trying to tell us something. Maybe they're saying, hey, we have to really start listening to these suggestions and really start thinking about being proactive about how we can make a difference. Again, I offer myself up as a consultant to be able to make a difference. We all need to do a better job. Thank you.